right, we're back. The jazz swung eighth note, part 2. Very exciting stuff. In the first video, we talked about isolated eighth notes played on the upbeat, the and to 2, the and to 4, the and to 1, and to 3, and how they interacted with the ride cymbal. What we're going to do in this video is connect notes together. So we're going to play 2-note groupings, either leading to a downbeat or coming off of a downbeat. We're going to play all these ideas against our jazz ostinato, which basically just means repeated pattern of jazz ride, hi-hat on 2 and 4, quarter notes on the bass drum. My jazz disclaimer to jazz people out there, I'm playing the bass drum a little louder than normally I would play it in a jazz context. And the reason is so that you can hear that note and how it's referenced against the snare drum and the other parts of the jazz time. The feathering, when they say feathering of the bass drum, it just means you're playing the bass drum really super quiet, like so quiet that it's more felt than heard. But it's difficult to get that idea across and show the interaction of the limbs. So if you're just starting this stuff out and you feel like you're playing the bass drum kind of loud, don't worry about it. Just keep going. You'll get the volume and the style dynamics figured out later. Get the coordination figured out, and then you can start getting things to feel a little bit better. If you want to get all this stuff going, but one battle at a time. Everything against this jazz pattern. All right, so let's get into these 2-note groupings. The first grouping is playing and to 1 into 2 and to 3 into 4. It sounds like this, and then we'll figure out what's going on with it. 2 bars at a time. So as you can tell, it kind of sounds like a shuffle, and in fact, it's kind of a cool jazz shuffle. Doom da da, doom doo da da, doom doo da da, doom doo da da. So what you'll have to do first is figure out what's going on with the ride cymbal and the snare drum. It sounds like this. They're kind of taking turns doing the shuffle part. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. On the hi-hat of things, it falls into that hi-hat 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So it's good to play just the hi-hat and the snare drum and get the feel of that swing that's going on there. It's kind of awkward just to do these 2 limbs, so it's a good thing to practice. 2 bars at a time. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and 1. It's a little weird, but you want to try to make sure that swings. And you could do it with the bass drum as well, just to make sure that you're covering all the bases. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, when you're working on these things, just try to make it swing. 1, 2, 3. It's hard to get that spacing, so it's okay to spend some time on all these. Let's put all these things back together. We'll play 2 bars at a time, and then we'll move on. I think you get the idea here. But it's a nice shuffle pattern that you can use, and really effective, and it's also perfect for learning some coordination. 2 bars at a time, and then we're in. Okay, moving on to falling into the beats of 1 and 3. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. I'll play it, and we'll do a quick breakdown on it. 1, 2. Now that one can sound a little bit backwards, a little bit squirrely. So again, you want to work out what's going on with the ride cymbal initially. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you notice, it's playing with both of those ride cymbal notes to get to that downbeat. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So in a way, it's a good thing because they're both playing together, but in a way, it's a bad thing because you're playing on 1 and 3, and if that sounds backwards, then it's going to make your brain go, no, cannot compute, but it's just 1 and 3. So do that until you can feel that a little bit, and then try a little bit with the hi-hat. It's going to be going opposite of the hi-hat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Not so bad in that department, but again, it might feel like you're doing things backwards, but still 1 and 3. Same thing with the bass drum. Just get that going and try to feel the swing of those two notes. Da boom, ba boom. Try to keep the roundness as it falls into the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. Putting it all back together, it sounds like this. 2 bars at a time, and then we're in. All right, so now we're going to deal with some notes that come off of the downbeat, off of 2 and 4, off of 1 and 3. So the first thing is beats 2 and beats 4. So I'll play it so you can get an idea what it sounds like, and then we'll get into the breakdowns on it. 1, 2. It has a nice forward motion to it. 1, 2, and 4, and. Pushes into that next bar nicely. But it's also just a technical exercise. So all these things are sort of technical exercises, but when you start to combine these things together, you're going to find them very useful as well. So let's break it down a little bit. Again, with the ride cymbal, you've got so if you want to, play a bar at a time, run it up on the ride cymbal, and then bring in the snare drum. It's playing with this ride cymbal on both those notes. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. For the hi-hat, it's coming off of the hi-hat part. 1, 2, and 4, and. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1. Again, it can feel a little bit weird. It's coming off of that 1, 2, and there's a lot of 2s over here. So don't let the time get turned around in your head. Try to keep yourself counting. Otherwise, it's real easy. If someone starts playing a lot of stuff on 2 and 4, like the bass player's going 1, 2, da, 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 1, 2, 3, but it's not. That's actually still 2 and 4. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if there's a lot of 2 and 4 that start to happen, you have to be really be aware of what's going on. So as you're doing even these little exercises, if you're counting, it's good practice for what happens down the road when you're in a playing situation and someone starts leaning on that 2 and 4. You don't want to flip the time around. Trust me. How do I know? Oh, right here, that guy, done it. It's a drag. All right. 2 and a 2, 2 and the and a 2 with the bass drum. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, and 4, and 4. All right, so you get the idea for that. Let's play 2 bars at a time, put it all back together again. 1, 2, ready. And the last variation in these 2-note groupings is coming off beats 1 and 3. And this one can be pretty awkward feeling sometimes if you haven't ever done it before or haven't heard it or you're just trying to get going on it. So you'll definitely want to do some breakdowns to get it happening. I'll play it and then we'll do some work. 1, 2, ready. Ooh. 1, yes, 1. We're back to that again. If you're coming at this from a rock universe like I have, or you've just listened to a lot of popular music on the radio or whatever, everything's 2 and 4. So you start hitting the snare drum on 1, everything can sound like it's backwards. So certainly did for me. So let's break it down here. Here's the ride cymbal and the snare drum part for that. And you've got 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 4. So it's leading into that. And 1, 2, and 3, 4, and so you sort of have that swing pattern that happens here into 1 and 3 and. You do it a little bit and you'll be able to work out the coordination. That's what's going on. You play it with the hi-hat on 2 and 4. Again, we've got this thing on 1s and 3s. They're going to be opposite of the hi-hat. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That is a little bit easier to manage than the 2 and 4 and in some cases, I think anyway, because it's opposite. You sort of have this 1, 2, 3, 4. They're not as blended together as much. Again, take your time with it, work on it. Same thing with the bass drum, quarter notes on the bass drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1. All right, 2 bars at a time. We're going to put this all back together again. So there you go, some basic concepts of swung eighth notes where you've got 2 notes that are connected together, leading into a downbeat, coming off of a downbeat. I think that these concepts of coming into downbeats, coming off of downbeats, are they on beats 1 or beats 3, beats 2 and beats 4? How do they relate themselves to the ride cymbal? Again, as soon as you think you've got this pattern and you're jamming, you're a master of the swung 2-note, 8th-note groupings together, check the ride cymbal and make sure that you're still a master of it. Because for me, I make accommodations all the time and I have to go back and check. Now bear in mind that you're doing these against this ostinato pattern to force yourself to learn certain kinds of coordination. In a playing situation, when you're just playing, you don't always have to do it against this strict regimented thing, but you have to do it to a certain degree to be able to understand the coordination and the technical part to this. If you decide to make an artistic or musical decision later, there's like, well, I want to go then by all means, your life away. Go for it. Do what you want. But this is to get you to be able to hear some of these concepts, understand this technical stuff, and then, like with all these things, it's just general ideas, basic information. Do the listening, do the research, jam with your friends, practice on your own, make up your own style, do your own thing. But this gets you started. So these are those 2-note groupings. Have fun with them, get a feel for that stuff, and knock it out.